Welcome back, home CEOs. It's your host, Nicole Jakes. How's everyone doing out there? How's your heart? How's your mind? Today's episode is with a powerhouse of a guest. Her name is Melissa Hsu, and she's the developer of Healthy Elephants Club Balance B supplement, which has been a game changer in my supplement routine. But we're not just talking supplements, what to take and why. She's also a wizard in the realm of functional medicine and nutrition, helping people manage anywhere from like glucose spikes, eating for better hormone health, honoring their bodies, and enhancing their all-over wellness. She teaches me a term called eating hygiene in this episode, and it's a game changer for me. So in this eye-opening episode, get ready to laugh and learn, because Melissa divulges not only on her professional insights, but some lighthearted tales from balancing life as a mom of three with her intense passion for health. So whether you're a seasoned supplement user or just starting to explore the idea of adding them to your wellness routine, Melissa's journey and tips are bound to not only inspire you, but empower you. So buckle up, grab your favorite healthy snack. Melissa promises not to judge if it's actually a handful of chips, and get set for a conversation that's as nourishing as it is enlightening. You're not just listening to another health podcast, okay, home CEO? You're stepping up as a CEO of your health, your home, and your happiness by tuning in. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you, Nicole. Hi, good morning.
Melissa is a mom. She is the queen of understanding supplement breakdown, why and how we use them. But beyond that, she knows everything about metabolic eating, eating hygiene, hormone, nutrition. I can tell you honestly, I show up on your feed every single morning, see what you're doing, watch the energy you're putting out to the world. I feel better about myself after I jump off your page, and I feel like I always learn something new. Tell me about you. Let everyone know who you are, what you do, and how you develop the supplement that really changed the course of my nutrition.
Okay, I'm Melissa. I created the Healthy Elephant, and it's an intentionally clean supplement company. I created it because initially my father was struggling with an arm tremor, and I was searching for a clean B complex, and I couldn't find one. Either the forms weren't in fully activated or methylated form. It was missing some of the Bs, or there were potentially harmful excipients. And so, I settled with one, but I was also trained in supplements in functional medicine school. And so I decided to create this Balance B complex. Also because later on I found out that I don't methylate well, and I need it myself as well. And I also learned how many women suffer from the conversion of folic acid to folate. And so I ended up creating this Balance B complex, which I feel is truly clean.
It's made a large difference. I fall into the similar category. And so my doctors, when we were looking at me holistically, which is how I approach all of my wellness practice, they were like, okay, what is the supplement you're taking? Let me look into it. They monitor me, and they were blown away. But the reach of the Healthy Elephants just continues in my life. I met Melissa on Instagram, and I think I was really drawn to not only your energy, what you were putting out there, but your story that you just shared. I think it's so important for people to understand that, there's this big trend in functional medicine, and what is it, and who's really trained in it, and is this the way to go? Talk to me about your background in functional medicine.
So my background, well, I work individually with females and males in a range of ages from teens to geriatrics. So what do I do? How do I help people? I analyze comprehensive lab markers from an optimal perspective with consideration of symptoms, the unique individual's ecosystem from birth to date. Then I use food and lifestyle change as medicine, so to speak, and sometimes supplements. So my first line of defense is food and lifestyle. And then only if necessary, which is funny because I started a supplement company. Only if necessary will I suggest supplements. And so if someone has fatigue, constipation, painful, heavy menstruation, or headaches, then we try to get to the upstream root causes. Is there too much sweet food consumption? Is this person eating too much raw food or drinking too much cold ice liquids? Does this person stress often? Does this person use Tide and Jo Malone? How's the average sleep quality and length of time. So causation usually involves more than one factor. So when I look at labs from an optimal range, I identify trends. Is this person on the path towards diabetes or heart disease? Then we intercept, we make changes on the path, and correct course as preventative care. So sometimes I do interviews and give, presentations. So
yeah, you're amazing. When we talk about the home CEO, people are like, oh, it's always in the home. And I'm like, no, your work is a balance of outside and inside in the home. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, is like what you pick up at the grocery store is outside the home, but you bring it into the home and what that looks like. Nutrition and the doctors that are part of your life, or the dentist, or whatever it is. Like, it's all holistic. It all exists. And I love talking to women CEOs that have a background story on a product they've made that has really helped out others because of their core passions and truth. When I was going through my autoimmune, the number one thing is, let's do an elimination diet, right? There's a big word out there right now, elimination diet. Talk to me about your feelings on elimination diets, hormone health, and re-regulating the systems.
So for elimination diet, I think that's the gold standard. The way I was trained and I practice, I actually don't send people to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on any tests. It's actually rare that they do go out and spend money on additional testing. It's only if necessary. And elimination diet is the gold standard, because you will know exactly how you feel when you are without this XYZ food, and then when you slowly incorporate it in, so that you build a tolerance, or your body just can't handle it at the moment.
Yeah. So for me, I was put on the gold standard, and I was like, this is basically, to me, a lot of intuitive eating, right? So I tell my daughter and my son when they're like, oh, my tummy is hurting after they eat. If it's not a bowel movement, because we all know that's normal for kids, I'm always like, okay, well, what did you eat that you think maybe made your tummy hurt, right? I've just taught them to tune into their body, or if they're, my daughter, it's like around the holidays, she's very cognizant of food dye, because she started watching herself after she'd have food dye. She was like having a tantrum, and I was like, oh man, okay, well, what did we eat in the last few hours that maybe is making our nervous system feel, dysregulated, if it's not sleep, right, for kids.
I love it.
She was like, I had the red popsicle. And I was like, was it the red popsicle maybe? She's like, yeah. So now she's really, really good about just recognizing that. So her teachers sent her home with like apples and oranges because she wanted to trade in all of her Valentine's Day candy or Halloween. They do the little things at school. And she was like, I can't have this. This makes me have tantrums, makes my brain feel weird. Like, can I just have some apples and oranges? And the teachers were giggling, and my instinct was to do this. Like, oh, I'm that mom. But actually what I realized was, yeah, go me, intuitive eating, elimination diet. I feel like there's a way that goes hand in hand. You mentioned this word, eating hygiene. Has anyone ever heard of that? I want you to take me through what eating hygiene is and how you use it in your practice.
Okay. Oh, before I do, I want to say congratulations. I love your parenting skills. That's just wonderful. And I mean, just the whole self-awareness, every time you take a bite of food and how you feel. So for eating hygiene, the reason I want to bring this up is because some people may feel bloated or weight gain from eating just a little bit of food. And it could be due to something as simple as eating hygiene. So we're not just what we eat. We are what we eat, digest, and absorb. And so eating is just one part of the equation. So what does eating hygiene consist of? So number one is to chew thoroughly until liquid-like, because chewing is the only part of digestion that is voluntary. So once you swallow, the rest of your GI tract takes care of it. And number two, relax, so that your body is focused on digestion and not running away to safety from a hungry lion. So if you're stressed, maybe it's better to wait on eating and make it meditative, be present, savor each bite, and really appreciate the farmers who took the time and effort to grow our food. It's not easy. And the third, is don't drink water during meals. I'm not sure if you heard of this, but I know in America, you go to the restaurant and here you are, this big picture of ice water. So don't drink water during meals. So try to drink it before or after. And then the reason is because stomach acid has a low pH of about 1.9. If we touch it, our skin may burn, and it helps break down proteins into smaller chain amino acids. So when we drink water during meals, say it's a pH of 6, we dilute the pH of the stomach acid, which disrupts its job of digestion. So it's a reason people may feel bloated or gassy, or even have it may trigger acid reflux. And lastly, eat until I see you laughing. I don't know why.
Well, I'm laughing because no one ever told me that. And no doctor. They were like, here is an antacid. Here is this, right? They just throw a pill at it. And I intuitively figured that one out myself. And now you're saying it to me. And I am sitting here like, wait, this is amazing. Like the connection between me listening to my body, which we were just talking about, and you saying this to me is something I do ritualistic. Like I don't offer my kids drinks during their meals. And like you're saying, I'm having an aha moment on the podcast, everybody. Like we're having an aha moment.
I love it.
Yes. Okay, keep going. I'm so in. Yes. Okay. I keep going. Keep going.
So
this is
the
amazing.
Last one, the fourth one, eat until 80% full. So think of our stomach as a blender with X amount of space. So how well can our stomach blend the food if it's too full? So, and that goes back to intuitive eating. You know if you've had enough. So don't overflow it.
That's so true. What are your thoughts on snacking?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it depends. Like, yeah, I think I would try to avoid snacking, and you would have to train the body to not feel the need to or crave for snacks between meals. So one reason is because we have an MMC, a migrating motor complex. It's our intestinal housekeeper, and it is working, it's brushing, it's cleaning up our intestines 2-3 hours after we eat. But while we are eating, if we're snacking, then it doesn't get to do its job, and it could cause, build up, have more debris. And so I would try to train the body to avoid the need for snacking. And I can understand it involves hormone regulation and, satiety. And I would say that if we were to reduce our sugar consumption or refined carbs or starches and have enough protein and enough healthy fats, we may eventually find ourselves without the need or desire to snack between meals or even skip a meal. So it's training. It's not something like where you can just do it overnight.
Yeah, that's so true. You brought up eating for hormones, and this is a big one, especially for women, right?
Yes.
And I think that sometimes that gets missed in the mix of trends in nutrition. Talk to me about hormone nutrition in general or specific, however you want. What is your theory on eating for hormones?
2 parts. One, I'd love to talk about eating for hormone support, and then in relation to that, strategic eating for metabolic health. So I start with eating for hormone support, and oxalates is my first part. So if a vegetable is high in oxalates, which is naturally occurring compound in spinach and beets, then it may be more beneficial to eat it cooked. So the reason is because oxalates bind to iron, magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, which means it can get excreted in feces, which reduces these nutrients that our body needs in order to optimize. So this is where we may run into constipation or hair loss, low energy, mood, dehydration is where people can lose iron, one of the materials required for thyroid hormones, and thyroid health can affect hair, bowel movements, and energy level. So losing iron, can also cause anemia. So there's this saying, sluggish thyroid, sluggish everything. And plus, the kidneys filter oxalates, and excess may combine with calcium, and this is where someone may experience kidney stones. So cooking lowers oxalates. So if you think your oxalate levels are high, you can drink enough water so the kidneys flush more of it out. Another thing is they can form crystals, and it can get deposited in different areas of the body, and it can cause chest pain or rapid heart palpitations, which I'm encountering more of in my one-on-ones. So try to have that spinach cooked instead of as a salad or in a juice. And the second thing I want to talk about is goitrogens. So like oxalates, they are also a naturally occurring compound, and they are commonly high in cruciferous vegetables such as kale. So what's the problem here? They block thyroid hormone synthesis, mainly by blocking iodine uptake, and the thyroid loves and needs iodine in order to perform. So cooking reduces goitrogens. So if you've been having too much raw kale juice or salads, then depending on how your thyroid is doing, you may need to increase iodine from seaweed or kelp seasoning. You can steam rice with kombu or add kombu in soup. Also have selenium from Brazil nuts. These may be helpful, and if you're pregnant, keep what I said in mind, because it can affect the growth and development of the baby. Yeah, so in traditional Chinese medicine for females, it's believed that raw food, and as a side note, cold food, ice, or cold drinks can cause stagnation in our internal energy and blood. And this stagnation can lead to painful periods and other symptoms like puffy face, puffiness around the eyes, or feeling swollen, and the feeling of bloat. So basically, cook the spinach, cook the kale. It's because of the oxalates and the goitrogens. So it could be harmful to hormone health to have too much of it in the salads and the juice.
Yeah, so green juice in your house is a no-go?
Yeah. Oh, depends. Actually, I do encourage green juice, but I was specific about it.
Yes.
Cilantro, parsley, dandelion, lemon. That's about it.
Hey there, home CEOs. Tired of playing guess the origin with your meat at the grocery store? Well, I was too. Where you squint at the labels and hope the meat's travel history isn't more exotic than yours. I want to introduce you to Good Ranchers. This one, I've done the homework so you don't have to. They're born and bred right here in the USA, and their meat is as local as your favorite coffee shop. So since 2018, they've been bringing families back to the dinner table, where all great change in America starts. With Good Ranchers, you're not just ordering the finest cuts of USDA prime beef, chicken, and wild-caught seafood. You're also giving the boot to the mystery meat imports and some more American farms. Subscribe today and save $25 on every order. That's right. Keep your wallet and your belly full with Good Ranchers American meat delivered, because good food is where the home is. Good Ranchers is the official sponsor and freezer staple for the home CEO and Nicole Jakes. Now, let's get back to the show. Yeah, I think that's so interesting, because I'm a big, and I want to get into your thoughts on intermittent fasting. And fasting and the benefits of that in our nutritional wellness toolkit. But green juice, everyone's always like, oh, I'm on vacation, I need a green juice. And your girl loves a green juice, but I don't make them every day.
I do too. It's refreshing.
It's so refreshing. So when I'm on vacation, I've had like a green juice every day, and I came back and everyone's like, oh, it's because of flying. Oh, it's because I'm like, no, it's because of the green juice that I'm feeling a little puffy, because I drink it all the time. And I knew what I was doing. That's funny. It's so, nutrition is so intuitive, but it's also educational, right? You have to have this educational part to actually understand how things play off of each other. As anything in our homes, nutrition plays a really core component of, if you eat this, this is what it does, right? Like, we were trained like this even little in the 80s. Like, carrots are good for your eyes. Little kid way to explain it. But when you look at it high level, like as you're describing, I think it's so important to do that. So I, for the longest time, would have like a kiwi a day. A kiwi a day was really great, but kiwis are high in oxalates, correct?
Correct.
So it's something I really watch, because I know that there is something, I've talked to other doctors about it, and they're like, oh, I definitely wouldn't eat it daily. And I'm like, but I feel really great when I'm eating it daily if I have X and X after. So it's kind of like glucose spikes, right? Like, I know that if I have some vinegar before, I'm going to have a very carby meal. It'll help me not have a huge glucose spike, right?
Yes.
And so if I know how to prepare myself for what I want to eat, I don't have to cut out anything except dairy and egg because of my autoimmune. But I don't have to cut out anything. I can just combine it with other nutritional aspects in order to make sure my body's performing the right way and stays balanced. And this is why I love that you use balance in your supplement, in your handle, because I'm like, that's really what life is about. It's about balance. And it's not that hard to achieve in nutrition if you just listen and you know the info, which I think is something people don't always talk about. They always think, oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. And I'm like, there are some key characteristics that you need to know. And if you apply them, nutrition becomes actually the most enjoyable aspect of finding balance. Your time and your energy is something else, right? But like nutrition is actually, there's just some core components. It's like an addition if you're math-minded.
After, listening to you and how you have, raised your kids, I think the number one thing, intuitive eating. Just really feel yourself. Every bite that you take, how do I feel,
It's true. That's why even the doctors are like, oh, that's a lot of kiwi. I'm like, oh, it's working for me though. So I don't know.
Exactly. Everybody's completely different. There's no other Nicole exactly like you with, this X number of bacteria and X number of variation of bacteria in your gut or anything like that.
It's worth trying. Okay. Fasting, intermittent fasting. We're talking, this is not only a big trend, it's been out there. We've talked about it. It's not just like, another dieting tool. I hate even to use the word diet. I hate that word.
Me
period.
too.
But,
I understand.
Right? Okay. Intermittent fasting, the benefits, pros and cons. What are your theories on intermittent fasting?
I think intermittent fasting can be extremely beneficial because I mentioned earlier, like the MMC, migraine motor complex, you do your house cleaning. You have wear and tear on your body if you're constantly eating. So if you give it a break, it can rest and actually help you digest. So it's really that simple. I understand there's a lot of people that are against it, and I think that has a lot to do. This goes back to your hormones are balanced. If your body is set up to use more fat as fuel versus glucose as fuel. So you have to train it, and it takes time. And you can eat your way to intermittent fasting.
That's true. Talk to me about some trends you see out there just in the nutritional world that give me like 3 trends that you see in the nutrition world that you cringe at.
Oh, okay. I would. We just went over the green juice, right? Because that's a trend, I think. And I would try to go for look for an organic juice store and go for a custom juice so we can nix the kale, nix the spinach, right? And I would also nix the fruit. Okay. So that's 1. So 2, maybe bananas in smoothies because
that's a big one.
Yeah. The reason is because tropical fruit like pineapple, mangoes, or sweet fruits like bananas, whether you eat real food or you eat like rice or yam, which is also a carb, a type of sugar, or you eat a croissant or quinoa, it all gets processed as glucose in the liver. So the liver doesn't distinguish it. It's the same. And so bananas can easily create high glucose spikes. It's known to. So that would be another trend, the banana in the smoothie, especially when it's in the morning on an empty stomach. Another trend, it would be maybe like acai bowls with oatmeal. I think the oatmeal trend, because oatmeal also easily creates glucose spikes. And people eat it as a health food. I would eat it as a dessert. Yeah, there we go. I would have the acai bowl as a dessert.
Yum.
Yeah, I think the oatmeal, the raw vegetables, and sweet fruit as a juice.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's considered healthy in the, even the integrative, holistic nutrition world, but it can really affect your metabolic health. And 93% of Americans, have a degree of metabolic dysfunction. There's a reason for that, even if you're trying to be healthy.
That's so true. Okay, so strategic metabolic eating for health, because you led yourself right into that. Tell me about your theories there. What do we need to know? How do we strategically eat for metabolic health?
Okay, so, before I get into that, I also wanted to say that if weight is not elevated, like just because we're skinny, it doesn't mean healthy. So there's a term called TOFI. Perhaps you've heard of it before, TOFI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. So we could be underweight, but still have high triglycerides. So,
yep.
So why do many people have metabolic dysfunction? A main culprit is sugar. So do we have to stop eating sugar? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how we feel, how we want to feel, and what we're willing to do. So if we can prevent or limit volatile glucose spikes, then we may improve our metabolic health. So what can we do? We can practice glucose hacks, right? And keep in mind that I said earlier, so whether we eat real food that is sweet, it can be, the mango, pineapple, or not sweet, but carb-laden, rice, yam, or pastries, the croissants, our liver doesn't distinguish. So it just essentially gets broken down into glucose. What can we do? How can we prevent these spikes? 1, as you have done, take a shot of ACV before a meal. 2, eating in food order. So first is fiber. And the asparagus or the sauteed spinach creates this gooey protective mesh in the small intestine, which makes it challenging for glucose to seep through into the bloodstream. Second, protein and fat, the steak with the butter. And third is carbs, if any, the rice, the potatoes. So first, fiber, protein and fat, end with carbs. And so if you just do that, it's a game changer for your metabolic health. So if you're having dessert, have it right after the meal. Don't eat your carbs naked. Dress them with protein, fat, or fiber. You can add coconut oil to rice. And take a 10-15-minute walk after the meal, or move your body in some way, maybe dance or clean. Lastly, if we cook, then reheat a carb such as rice or yam. It increases resistant starch. So regular starch eventually converts to glucose, but resistant starch doesn't break down, and it may ferment in the large intestine, which can increase good bacteria. So I just explained 6 ways to prevent glucose spikes that may substantially impact metabolic health.
Okay, but can we label the walk after dinner? Because in our house, we call them fart walks. and the entire family does it. So we have dinner, we all put our dishes in the sink. Unpopular opinion, I don't do dishes after I cook and I eat. I do them in the morning with a cup of coffee and some spa music. I hate doing dishes at night. This is just me.
I love that.
Do what works for you. That's always what I say. But we go on a fart walk. So kids are like, it's fart walk time. And we go and we walk. Yeah. Called a fart walk. I think we needed that label. I think we need to just, that's the name of the flatulent walk, because that actually was a bigger game changer for me, where I was just like, oh, I'm done eating. I'm going to go sit on the couch and watch a show. And until I changed actually moving my body later in the day, did I not really see a really big difference in not only my sleep pattern, okay, my digestion, lack of bloating after eating. It was a thing. So even when we go out to eat with friends, I'm like, you guys want to go walk around the town? Or if we're at the country club, I'm like, guys, you want to walk around the club for 15 minutes? And everyone's always like, what a weirdo. And I'm like, you're welcome. You're not bloated tonight.
Either that, or maybe you could volunteer to drive and purposely park really far.
That's a good idea.
To walk.
That's a good idea. I always blamed my far parking on the fact that I am not a good parker and I don't want to park between 2 cars just in case I dent something. But now I'm going to say it's because of my digestion and my metabolic health. Thank you, Melissa. That was a great tip.
You play soccer. You're athletic. You have good coordination.
Kind of, except when I'm behind a motor vehicle, you want to think you're in control of the car. And then sometimes I'm like, no, I don't know how that happened. I'm a little accident prone. I totally own that part of my body. and my mind. Those are some really good tips, though. And you're making me feel very good about myself because those are a lot of what I follow. And so whether my kids absorb them through osmosis or they're just like watching my behavior or we're just making a funny name on how we get it done.
The fart walk.
We get it done in a fart walk. Fart walk.
I love it. It's going to stick. I'm going to tell my kids about this.
Yeah, maybe I should do a reel on it. Maybe I'll just put a video out there in the universe that's like, everyone needs to fart walk and here's why. I thought I was alone, but I was on a trip with some girlfriends. I'm making them walk after and they don't know. And I'm like, this is a fart walk. This is like what you do. So, hey, here we go. We're starting trends here. Why not, right? Discuss the importance of safety and regulation in the supplement industry. How can we ensure that we're choosing safe and effective products? Because this is not just like throw a multivitamin at it and now you're healthy. We all know there's no magic pill out there. If I have to say that one more time, I don't even know what I'll do. But talk to me about the importance of safety and regulation in the supplement industry and how, as a consumer, I can make sure I'm choosing a good product.
So with terms of safety and regulation, I would look for a company that offers COVs, and then this supplement company has responsibly or in the know has paid extra for tests, for heavy metals, and make sure it's third-party testing and that they are willing to provide third-party testing, because I'm going to, for the next batch, I'm going to include it on my website so people could just directly, click on the link and see all the test results, that it's GMP certified, good manufacturing practice, as I mentioned, third-party testing. So in terms of how safe a supplement is, or if it's good for you, I would teach you how to read labels and what to look for. Do we want to get into that?
Yeah. I mean, just some tips, it's big, right? Like this is a concept we could talk about for 4 hours at least. So just some high level, what should we be looking for? The certifications are a big one. Just like in anything, I want the case study. I want to see that what you're doing actually works. So third-party testing. What else are some other things we can look for?
The first thing I look at in a supplement is actually the other ingredients, because almost 100% of the companies use anti-caking or flow agents, and the common ones are magnesium stearate. Similarly, are stearic acid and vegetable stearate. There's also microcrystalline cellulose and silicon dioxide, and the relative variations of that are silica, amorphous silica, and crystalline silica. So they basically loosen the supplement and they serve to fill the capsules, and they're the go-to because they're substantially more affordable. So those are the ones I try to avoid, which is really hard. And that just leaves me with a handful of supplements left. That's a big one. Another one is to look at the total level of vitamins, which are usually in milligram, right? That's the typical unit of measure. And so if we're looking at a capsule size, which no one really reveals it, but a standard capsule size is 0.0. It holds about 1,100 milligrams of content. So if you look at the supplement fact, if the supplement totals 400 milligrams, then we're looking at 700 milligrams of potentially harmful excipients because they need to fill the capsule. And I find that a lot, especially with maybe like vitamin D. Vitamin D, we're getting into micrograms instead of milligrams. And so that is a ton of excipients if it's in capsule form. So 1, look at the total level of vitamins. 2, avoid excipients I mentioned earlier. And 3, choose active forms. I think, that's what Google is for. What is the active form of D? Go for D3 instead of D2. And as a side note, if you do D3, go for D3 with K2, because D3, K2, and magnesium will help deliver calcium. Because we're talking about synergistic, vitamins work together synergistically, just like enzymes in food, but they help deliver calcium into the bones rather than running amok in the blood. So
important. Yes. Talk to me about kid supplements. This is a hot topic for me. So we all know I'm very particular about supplements. My kids and myself, we do, seasonal blood testing. and sometimes for me, quarterly for sure, just to kind of take a look inside what's going on. But with my kids, they're like, oh my gosh, but then the kid has to have a blood draw. And I'm like, yeah, but I need to know what's going on. Like behavior changes, sleep changes, right? You can see them in children and you can try to adjust their nutrition the best that you can. But some kids just need some extra help. And everything is thrown down my throat with a gummy vitamin. Let's turn this supplement into candy. Let's eat more gummies. Like it is the package of Annie's gummies. Okay. You're giving your kid that every day as a snack, and then you're giving them a gummy vitamin. They're the same.
Right.
To me, there is nothing different than a package of Annie's gummies and the vitamins that you just gave your kids if they are gummy format. And we all know I'm a huge advocate of this. I've gone on, I've talked about it so many times. Gummy vitamins are not the way for kids. Just none of them. There's not one out there I would give my child. And that was pretty eye-opening when I figured it out myself. And it took my health journey to get there. But I feel like we are really marketed to, as parents, to give our kids not only a supplement, multiple, and in gummy format. What are your thoughts?
I think parents or caretakers can save their money if it's going to be gummies, because as you said, it's like giving them candy. Supplements are meant to add benefit. It should heal and not add harm, right? And it's just that, a supplement, and it's not to replace a proper nutritionally dense intake. But I think with gummies, we're dealing with gelatin, and that could mean fat from either beef, pork, chicken, or fish. And usually it's from pork, and they're not going to be organically raised. And most of the supplement companies don't even know where these gelatin come from, or they don't want to provide detailed information on this. Or it could be from a foreign country, and we don't know how it's processed or anything like that. Or if it's vegetarian based, it's either soy, coconut, or palm based. And of the three, it's usually derived from palm, and palm has been known to increase the risk of tumor and metastasis. So it increases the risk of cancer. And so, it's a tiny little gummy, one a day, but one a day every day, how many days in a week, a month, a year, it all adds up. It has that cumulative effect. But not to mention, it's just, what's the difference between that and a candy?
Yes, absolutely. This is what I'm saying. And I think it's anything in accumulation. There are many people that question that I change out my supplements seasonally. And I'm like, well, you change out your wardrobe seasonally. So why am I not looking at my body in increments of time and saying, we're doing better on that this quarter. We need more of this or less of that. My body's complex. Everybody's bodies are. I'm just really nuanced in that I have an autoimmune I have to manage. And so for me, it's like vital to make sure that wherever we're dipping low, we look at it. People here, I live in Oregon, people are like, oh, it's winter, so I started taking vitamin D. I'm like, well, that's good, because you probably will be deficient in vitamin D, but the word there is probably. You don't even know if you are. Go in and make sure that you are before you're just supplementing your body with something because you think that you need it because there's less sun right now. I think it's such a common thought process. Like we've been trained, just like we've been trained that if it's clean, it smells like bleach or something floral, right? Like, no, if it smells clean, it smells like nothing. Like just because you're in a certain season doesn't mean that you have to be supplementing. You need to check in what's going on inside.
Exactly. I believe in targeted supplementation. And it's rare that I don't think I've ever recommended a multi for anyone, because it's usually one area, maybe like in zinc or, in rare occasions. And I have to be careful with this, iron. The multi all around, you could be getting too much of something you need, too little of something that you need more of, and it just doesn't work. But back to the gummies with the kids, another bad ingredient is usually the glucose, dextrose, corn syrup, and all that is added in there, which organ is dealing with all these toxins? The liver. And again, why are we taking supplements? It's to add benefit. So we have to make sure that it's clean and it's actually adding benefit and not doing harm. They're wasting money.
No, that's true. I mean, if you're giving your kid a gummy vitamin and it's rolled in sugar, right? There are those that they exist. You go walk the Target shelves and you're like, oh my gosh, like these are coated in sugar.
Right.
Just put the sugar on broccoli.
Right. At least
if you're gonna do it, that sounds
nutrients.
Right. That sounds asinine to parents. Like, okay, we'll put sugar on broccoli and have them eat that. That you're still giving them sugar, and you know that you are, right? And how do you think that's beneficial? Even though they're going to eat the broccoli, how is that beneficial? I just think it's such an interesting dynamic. I swear we could have a whole podcast about kids' nutrition because that's a whole nother ballpark. But as I bring it back to when you are looking at supplements, what are some things you should do, or who should you be talking to, or how do we go about knowing that we're taking the right supplements?
As you mentioned earlier, look at the labs. Which areas are you low in, and then choose targeted supplements for what you need to increase on. And depending on where you're at and how you're feeling, what your body is going through, take tests again, either quarterly or once a year or twice a year. It just depends on what we're trying to take care of here. But yeah, always check what you need. Don't just randomly go to the store and think, oh, well, most people are low in vitamin D, so let me just find them vitamin D. And, oh, my doctor said they're all the same. Just grab any one.
They're not made the same.
They're not. I would say almost 100%, almost, because over 90% are just not made properly.
Not made properly. A big push in the nutrition world, because I really wanted to get your take and forgot earlier in the podcast, is on protein. There's a big push right now, big trend on added protein, hidden protein in everything. How important is protein?
I think protein is extremely important, especially getting into old age and older. As we age, I think we need enough protein. I would get as much as I can from real food. If you eat meat, then from meat, and make sure you have enough stomach acid, or practice eating hygiene, right? So that you are digesting the protein properly. That's another thing I look at on lab markers, because I'll ask people, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And I'm looking at, okay, well, you eat a lot of protein. You're eating a palm size for lunch and dinner, but why is your protein level like 6 or a 5? So that's giving me a clue about stomach acid level. So then I look at, okay, then, are you getting enough sleep, or how often are you stressed? Sorry, I went off on a tangent there when you asked me about protein.
I was hoping for the tangent, because I think this is another area of nutritional trend that is just something we're adding now to like everything, but we're not realizing that it has to be absorbed correctly to actually have benefit. And you teed it up perfect. It comes down to stomach acid and how well our body, one size doesn't fit all in nutrition. Exactly. Never, ever, ever, ever. I loved your tangent, and I needed to hear it. My family are heavy protein eaters. I actually have to balance the amount of protein that my kids reach for. If I look at the eating hygiene, I'm like, okay, we're practicing really well, but we are also loading on protein. And that's good. I expect my kids can tell me what they need. Intuitive eating is very big in my house, but
I love that.
I always say, like, my husband eats every shade of brown and white, and that's about it.
Okay. So, yeah, he's missing the phytonutrients.
Yes. And the trace minerals and all the other things. I'm like, honey, we got to round this out, right? So it is funny. How often do you find yourself doing that as being a home CEO amongst your family? Like, are you balancing your kids' plates out? Are they doing it? Are you like, okay, husband, hold on. Like, you need more of this. Does that play in your mindset each day?
It does. So we all eat the same food. It's just the portion, right? Because I have this gigantic 13-year-old. She's like almost 5'7", 115 pounds. And, we look at activity level. So she loves exercise. She exerts a lot of energy. And so I think she needs more protein, or experiences constipation at times. So I think, and that's because she's stressed from school. And so when we add our nuts in our bowl, I will give her the extra Brazil nuts because selenium is one of the materials the thyroid hormone needs, which that controls, bowel movements and stuff like that. So yeah, I do consider, we all eat the same food, just portion of fiber to protein and fat versus carbs.
I remember you posting on your stories that your kids have never had school lunch.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. You just gave me goosebumps because I wake up early every morning, baking their food or heating their food on the stove, putting it in their thermo. And oh, my God, it's like a whole other job. It's like breastfeeding.
Yes. And I think that breastfeeding trains you to do that. So, I remember you saying, I'm really proud of myself. This makes me feel really good about myself. My kids have never had school lunch. And I was like, oh, challenge accepted. It made me feel good. I was like, wow, what a direction to think about that, because you don't know what they're getting at school. And our kids are constantly growing and their bodies are constantly switching needs and their bodies are their hormones. And it's a rapid pace, especially in puberty, which is where you're in, clearly. And I just thought, what a gift your kids have in a mother that you're so dedicated to that. And I think something that kind of shifted my viewpoint of motherhood priorities. Clearly, we need our kids to eat, but I think we need to start viewing it a little bit more than that. Their activities and their social is all important, right? There's so many categories we're checking the boxes for kids. Are they on track? Mathematics, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, hold on. Yeah. But I'm like, hold on. What are the 3 things I really need to do as a mom? Because I'm very much about simplicity, right? Less mess, less stress, more success. I kind of view it in every aspect of my life. After watching you post that on your story, I was taken back. I was like, you know what? I love that. I get that. I need to do more of that. I need to do better about that. It actually opened my eyes to it. I'm really good about myself. How can I implement that in a holistic way for my family? And so now that is my priority, right? My priorities in my kids' lives are to make them feel loved and safe, that they are supported. I'm not dictating their path, right? Mental, emotional, spiritual. And number 2 is their nutritional intake. Not how are you cleaning your plate? Okay, that's toxic mentality. Not did you not eat your vegetable? Well, you got to eat your vegetable, and then bribery. I'm not there. It's having them understand how it feels when it goes in their body and then adjusting it to the way that they need. And it's really intuitive eating in my book, that, and it's the same for when they're not in my home eating my food. I'm geeking out. I cannot wait to get to summer to where every single meal is in front of me, with them and making it enjoyable for them. But I think that when I saw you post that, I was like, you know what, that's a good point. But it also says something about America and how we are and how we raise and teach our kids about food. So what are some things you've taught your kids about food and nutrition you think are really beneficial?
I basically have taught them since they're 2 years old. I have a video of my middle child. I was like, what does GMO stand for and all this stuff? What does it do and why? And I just explained to them just what I know. What's the difference between organic and conventional? Let's look at the ingredient reading. Now they go to the store and it's kind of like a field trip. So they'll just grab the naturally ground stuff off the wall and read, oh, look, mommy, hey, look, there's red 40 or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But, oh, look, there's sunflower oil and I think to teach someone so that it sticks is to help them understand the why, right? And what does it do? So I don't tell them, eat this, don't eat that. I say, okay, what does glyphosate or weed killer do to bugs? Why are they sprayed? It makes insects fall. It creates holes in the stomachs of insects and they fall back and die. So what's the difference between adults or kids and insects? Size. So that's, it takes time. If you eat too much, maybe conventional foods or junk food, fast food, these substances, what happens over time, maybe you run into colon cancer, stomach cancer, or something like that. And so they understand. And I mean, they've been to, one of them has been to grandma's house, and grandma thought, oh yeah, let me just take you to McDonald's. Even don't tell your parents. And, she had her chicken nugget and fries and she didn't feel well. And that's fine. I mean, that's it. It's an experiment. I'm not going to say never, ever eat bad food in your entire life. You can eat it because I've already helped you build a strong foundation. So if you have it once here, once there, if you feel like it or whatnot, go ahead, see how you feel. It's not about the perfect diet because that's stressful. And when you go out, especially when you travel, you're not always going to eat organic either. But, we could do other things, eat in food order, eating hygiene, whatnot. But they actually reject their friends' foods when, well, that's what they tell me. So, I mean, whether
I bet they do.
I trust them because when we go together to the market, they show me how much they know. And so I have no worry. Yeah.
So my mentality is like education is power. And that is exactly how we are. I'm like, well, the education is there. The same as like when, the Kona ice truck pulls up and my daughter has everyone just eating ice in their cup because she's told them all about the dyes that are in this. And even the pina colada has some things they may not want. If they don't want to have a tantrum tonight, they should just eat the ice. And the Kona ice truck lady's looking at me like, and I'm like, sorry. And the mom who hired the Kona ice truck is like, and I'm like, sorry, I'm not sorry. Like, no one's going to have a tantrum today. Everyone's going to feel good. Like, my daughter just happened to be a mini educator on it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, those are some times that you're like, oh gosh, like this is not socially acceptable. And I'm like, actually, it's not socially acceptable that we are allowing this. This is actually what we think is okay. I have zero judgment. Have the Kona ice truck. If your kid loves it and they need the red one, you go right ahead. That's your kid. That's not mine. And my son will even be like, look, I'm having the Gatorade. And I'm like, all right. Tell me how you feel after. I'm the same way.
Right.
Go ahead and experiment, figure it out, and then you just let me know how you feel. And when he's like, having like hyperactivity out in the yard and he like can't go to bed by 9, I'm like, And he's like, oh, it's this Gatorade that's in me. I'm like, oh, I didn't say you did,
Right.
So, but it's good. I do the same. It's so nice to chat with someone else who really has that mentality. And it makes me feel good that like, I'm not that crazy mom.
Oh, no.
Not that crazy mom that's like, oh my gosh, no. Like we fix it with liquid vitamins. Nope, that's not, you can't fix it. That's the thing. I think that that's what we always need to be mindful of. If anything we put in our body, there's no like way to fix it once it's in there. I commonly refer to things as the soil to your garden. If it's balanced, you can't control the rain that comes in or the acid in the rain or any sort of pH in a rain, right? It's from the clouds. It's natural, right? It's going to come in and be there. But if your soil is well balanced, it can withstand that. It can withstand the snow. It can withstand the hot sun. If it's not, you can't grow anything in your garden. Nothing's going to flourish, right? And it is literally there for you to enjoy and watch things thrive in. And I apply this to scalp health and hair growth. I apply this to my nutrition. I apply this to my mindset. I apply this to friendship. The soil of your garden is yours. It's within your control, but you are the one to keep it balanced so things can flourish in it, right? And so that's how I view nutrition. And it's something that I can control in that aspect. I can learn and educate myself on. But I do think, we think school is so important for kids, and it is. Why is it not the same when it comes to what they're eating?
Oh my God, I am so big on that because a lot of parents, they pour all this money into their children's education and activities and all that. But, and then they're feeding them junk or like, oh, here, let me take you to McDonald's. Don't forget to take your gummies. And, it's health is a responsibility. But I can understand. I think, everyone has good intentions. It's just that maybe they're just not as informed. And so, when we know better, we can try to do better. But yeah, health is a responsibility, and you may be as healthy as your caretaker.
That's true. I wish we didn't have a stop time. That's all I can say. Is there anything you want to share? Where can we find you? Where can we find Healthy Elephant Supplement? Tell me everything.
Okay, so my website is thehealthyelephants.club.com. My Instagram handle is thehealthyelephants.club. So that's where you guys can find me.
As a resource for nutrition, like, I love your story posts because they're always uplifting and they make me think and they make me dive. I mean, you've sent me on more rabbit holes than I can tell you, and I appreciate that. I like rabbit
I
holes,
just
by the
know
way. Oh, yes. I mean, like, just this morning, you're posting about what they're spraying on the vegetables from someone else's video. And I'm like, dang, I've been saying this for like years. And now here's a video about it, you know? Tell me where we can get your brain. Is there like anywhere where we can see more of what you do and teach? Because I think this podcast was highly educational. Where can we find more of that?
I think that's a good one. I think I would have to try to update my Instagram more often.
Okay.
I've just been so busy behind the scenes, with my one-on-ones. And, I also do the shipping for the balance. And, I'm preparing for a presentation at a company. At the moment, more information would be my Instagram handle, which I would try harder to update. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
Do not apologize. I just think everyone's going to want more of you, and they're going to be like, where do I get more of you?
Feel free to email me and DM me. I'd be happy to hear from everyone.
Yeah, so that's the coolest part is Melissa's in her DMs, and it's no shocker that sometimes that is shifted in social media. You never know who you're talking to, but Melissa's actually the one who is writing you. So if you have anything, send her a DM, say hi, tell her how much you've enjoyed this podcast today. You know what we forgot to do? Really quick is truth or dare. I always ask people at the very end of the podcast, truth or dare, because it's something that we all have to pivot in as a CEO in our home and what we do and how we run it. So quickly, truth or dare.
I was going to ask you, hey, do you want to pick for me? Because
yeah, I can do truth. I love that.
Okay.
Share a surprising fact about your home management or personal challenge that you've overcome in your journey of becoming more organized and efficient at home.
Honestly, I'm going in a million directions at one time, but I kind of do things as I need to as the time comes. So I would say I'm very present. I don't get anxious. I'm not really in the past. I'm not really in the future. I'm in the now. So it really helps me with my gazillion jobs. Like, I kind of wish I was an octopus. I'm sure you did too.
That's so good. I think that is important. I practice heart seeking. And Melissa will commonly DM me or send me a text when one of her kids finds a heart in something or she found a heart. And being present is something as a home CEO that is vital. It's in my top 3. Be present. And people are like, well, how do I do that? Like, I play 10 minutes with my kids. I'm like, no. It's about having a moment where you're focused on something that your brain isn't telling you to go be focused on. You're having to tell your brain, I'm looking for this. Or when it just pops up that it's recognizable. And you sit in that moment and say, I'm looking at this to remind myself, I am here right now. I'm safe and loved. What a great life I have. It's a moment of gratitude to be present just in that one moment. And I do heart seeking, and I love that we share that together. So, and I do think it drives down anxiety. I think you hit the nail on the head. Being present in what you're doing and giving somebody your full attention or giving that moment full attention is so magical, right?
Because the moment is all we have.
The moment is all we have. That is exactly right. Melissa, I've had such a great time chatting with you. Thank you for being here on The Home CEO.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, Home CEOs. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did and found some nuggets of wisdom, or at least a good chuckle or a good cry. Remember to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on our next episode, which I promise brings more laughs, tips, tricks, and a sense of community with lots of enlightening moments. That's what we're here to do. This is the village you've been looking for. Until next time, keep smiling and stay curious. Shine your light wherever you go on those that are dim. They need it the most. Do something kind for somebody else and put a smile on their face. And move your body for someone who can't. In gratitude, you can. You are worthy. You are abundant. You deserve it. And you keep rocking your home like a biz. Cheers to more success, less stress, and less mess. I'll see you next time on The Home CEO.